AC4 Black Flag. A series that's about social stealth, being a blade in the crowd, sneaking up to a target undetected and sending them to Jesus Christ in heaven. Let's take that and turn it into the best pirate game people have seen yet. I view the Assassin's Creed games as selling you a history experience, like being around during the Crusades or in Venice in the 1400s, or fighting in the Revolutionary War and now being a pirate during the golden age of piracy. And they do that experience pretty damn well here, but they also introduce the Ubisoft clunk and boredom. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Premise: you play as Edward Kenway, a pirate who happens to be working on a ship an assassin is on. Then the ship sinks and they cast away to an island. The assassin pulls a gun on Edward and he takes that quite personally and kills the assassin. He finds a letter on the assassin to meet a guy for a reward. Edward likes money, so he dresses up as the assassin and meets that guy, who turns out to be a Templar. And then he gets discovered and now the Templars are his enemies, and he's on okay terms with the assassins, I guess. Basically, he tripped and stumbled into the Templar-Assassin War, and he's annoyed by that because he just wants money. The Templars are after the observatory, and Edward heard about that, and he saw dollar signs. No, wait, pound signs in his eyes. Actually, real signs in his eyes. And it becomes his life's mission. The observatory is basically a spying station where you can see where everyone is in the entire world. And that's bad, so the assassins are against that. Today we just call this sort of thing a satellite. Edward is on a quest to find the observatory so he can sell it for loads of money. And also some pirate stuff, I guess. Gameplay. Edward is a pirate, so that means lots of criming using ground and ship combat, stealth and lots of running around. It's mostly the same game as Assassin's Creed 3 but with some improvements. Let's start with combat. Attack, counter, break defense and a few gadgets. That's what you got, and some enemy variety, so you can't just spam normal attacks. The combat is easy. If you spam the counter button, you will mostly be fine. It just doesn't work against bullets or grenades. One thing that surprised me is how quickly you can be in danger of dying if you start messing up. They do a lot more damage here than in AC3. That doesn't make the combat hard though, just slightly more challenging. It's still easy because the counter button is a get out of jail free card, but your mistakes are actually punished here. Also, sometimes Edward just doesn't counter, which makes things a little harder. And this isn't like I had pressed another button and I was locked in another animation, which would be fair. It's just that the counter doesn't register, but it happens rarely, so it's not that big of a problem. The counter button isn't the only get out of jail free card. The guns and smoke bombs also make it very easy. The guns easily kill the tough enemies and the smoke bomb is a free win button. Hit that button and kill everyone for free. And you have like 5 to 15 of these on you at any given time. Combat is not a threat to you. The combat is easy, but it's entertaining enough. A big part of that is good animations, especially the kill animations. But that's also how AC4 is worse than AC3. Because it feels like AC4 has less kill animations and less variety. Certainly in the weapons. Edward only has 2 swords equipped. Dual wielding is cool, but seeing those same 4 or 5 animations for 40 hours gets pretty tiresome. There are other weapons though. Edward can pick up weapons off the ground like axes, but in the middle of a fight you're probably not gonna be picking up weapons since you could get punished for it. I found the combat entertaining enough for the duration of the game and was a mostly smooth experience. But there were moments where it went really clunky. Like especially when fighting on ships, then it would very often get weird, like enemies would bump a wall and that would lead Edward to just spam the first attack in a combo again and again and the enemy wouldn't die. It was just weird and nothing game breaking, and even just normal no walls around fighting was also weird. Like I was lagging or desyncing, but this is a single player game. It happened occasionally and almost exclusively in ship combat. The combat was good. The ship. I really like it, mostly. There's 4 speeds: stopped, half speed, full speed and travel speed. The faster you go, the slower you turn. The travel speed is good because there is a lot of chests and stuff spread out all across the map that you have to get to with the ship. And with travel speed, it doesn't take that long to go from place to place. Plus, you get to listen to the pirates sing sea shanties. You're not just waiting until you get there, you're vibing with the boys. Or maybe looking at ships to see what they got, and then doing a bit of piracy. Ship combat. Like AC3, you have the swivel gun and the broadsides, but you also have a mortar, and the fire barrels you throw behind your ship. They took what was basically a minigame in AC3 and turned it into the gameplay loop for half the game. They fleshed it out with more variety, and a good improvement they did was that you can brace to reduce damage, and in this game, bracing is only active when you hold the button. It used to be that you pressed it and they just did it for a set time. It's a good improvement, and I can just feel that everything with the ships is better here. The combat is more engaging and more fun. It's mostly a game of positioning. Have the enemy on your side so you can use your broadsides or heavy broadsides on them, and try not to be on their side and avoid enemy mortar shot. It's great and can get pretty chaotic, but for the overwhelming majority of fights, it's easy. Because you have a get out of jail free card in the form of boarding. After you've done a lot of damage, you can board enemy ships and have to kill a bunch of the sailors on board. And while that is happening, your ship and their ship is invulnerable to damage. And once you win, you can repair your ship. You could be in a very hard fight surrounded by ships and be very damaged, but as long as you damage one of the enemy ships enough so that you can board them, then you will win. Just keep boarding and repairing, and then you're never really in any danger. It's like 2 steps below from just having God mode on. The downside of the boarding is that it takes fucking forever for the ships to line up, which makes you very bored. So ship combat is very easy, almost trivial, but still pretty fun. There is one challenge for ship combat, and that is the legendary ship fights. It's basically just a big strong ship or 2 and no other enemies, so you can't do the board repair exploit. And you actually have to play the game good to win. And also have most of the ship upgrades, which you have to grind for by hunting ships for materials you need. And also selling sugar and rum. Ship upgrades are what you spend all your money on. The legendary ships were fun challenges. There was only one that I would describe as hard, and that was the one with 2 big man-o-wars that surround and bombard you. And then you kill one of them and the other just speeds towards you and rams you to death. So you have to damage both of them a lot before you kill one. I actually felt a bit of anxiety seeing that big ship speed up and then smash into my ass again and again. It felt good to win that fight. The impact on your cannon fire is also great, audio and visual. It felt heavy, like everything was getting ripped apart. Yeah, ship combat good. Speaking of anxiety, diving. I think this game can actually be blamed for my fear of the ocean. This game built a coffin and put me in it. Subnautica just nailed it shut. It's an underwater area that you get to with a diving bell, and then you just swim around collecting chests and glowing orbs. There are oxygen barrels spread around so you don't drown, and in underwater cave systems there are air pockets, so you plan a route around those. And then you also have the horrific monsters that live in our oceans. Jellyfish, sharks, and fucking eels. You can't kill them, so you have to hide in seaweed and ship corpses. And oh boy, do I hate those sharks and eels. To the Chinese fishermen driving sea life to extinction at a rapid pace, go off, Queen. Keep slaying those monsters. If sharks see you, then they charge and bite you or force you into a quicktime event. And when you swim near eels, they bite you and quicktime event you. The jellyfish just sting you when you bump into them. Diving is just a swimming obstacle course, swimming from cover to cover and oxygen source. The first time you do one, you're like, ooh, cool, exploring the ocean floor. By the time you're at the last one, you're bored out of your mind and hate doing them. But they did a pretty good job at capturing the dread of the ocean. Stealth. You hide in crowds, bushes, behind walls, up on a roof, or the cloak of invisibility, called for prostitutes. Generally, if you think the enemy won't see you, he won't see you. That works good. The detection in stealth is pretty forgiving. I would often just run from bush to bush in front of them, and they just go, must have been the wind. So stealth is easy. It's actually trivial because of the berserk darts. Just shoot that at a few of the guards and they all slowly kill each other while you goon off in the bushes. Most of the time I failed in stealth was that I just lost patience and decided to just kill everyone. Or I got tired of the boredom of waiting for a guy to walk into the right position. Overall, stealth was alright. Depending on the situation, it can be a bit challenging, but most of the time it's easy and honestly just boring. Especially in tailing missions where you are literally just waiting. Waiting, but in the bushes. Wow, what riveting gameplay. I don't hate stealth, I like it in a lot of games, and in those games either the AI is smarter, which means you have to be smarter, or they give you a lot of tools for distraction or just taking guards out. Or both, and that makes it more engaging. Here you are sneaking around Britain's naval force of the mentally deficient. But I'd still say it felt better to play than Assassin's Creed 3. It felt easier to pull off stealth, to get into the assassin role. I'd say the stealth here and the combat is more about the power fantasy rather than a challenge, and that power fantasy experience can be pretty fun. Parkour, or just running around. There are towns and island trees you climb and run around in, and it worked well. Sometimes Edward jumps to the wrong place, but that happened rarely, and may have been my fault. Possibly. The towns generally feel good to run around in, like you'll climb up and you can run from one end of the town to the other without touching the ground. Just jumping between buildings and rooftops or trees. I always felt like there was a good path that facilitated parkour, and often during missions they would place you right in front of the parkour path. So you'd have your cool moment of parkour as you exclusively hold R2 and forward. I think that's why the parkour doesn't grip me. It's because you don't really do anything. It's at a similar level as walking in the game. Okay, it's a little more engaging than that, but it's still somewhat close. The enjoyment of the parkour depends on what you're climbing, like just running around on town rooftops or being a jungle cat is alright. But climbing the sails of a ship during a battle to cut down the enemy flag is cool, even if it is really stupid. They're fighting for their lives. I don't think they're paying any attention to the flag right now. The game is really lacking in cool buildings to climb. I can't think of a single one, but the parkour works well and was decent. The biggest improvement was the viewpoints, because here they work as fast travel points, and they're spread out well so they reduce the boring running around. Missions and side stuff. This is a very protracted game. It's very long-winded in your sales. Haha, shit joke. Most of the side stuff and main quests are very boring. It's just running around between boxes and pressing the open button. It slowly follow a guy while being hidden or walking next to him. Obviously the main missions feature more of the fun parts, aka the combat, but it feels like they were really padding out the playtime by adding boring collectathon stuff, and the tailing missions, because being able to say that the game is 40 to 50 hours is very marketable. You can make the argument that the collectathon makes the map worth exploring, but the collectibles just weren't interesting and I didn't need it. Like the money in chests is meaningless because it's such a low amount. And raiding ships gives me more money than I'd ever need and is a lot more fun, so I'll do that instead. There are 10 hours of content here that is worth it, where you are having a bit of fun killing guards and blowing up ships, living out a power fantasy. Then there is 30 hours of swimming in the ocean to collect chests or running around town collecting orbs, chests, shanties, and Mayan artifacts with a blank stare, mouth agape, and the only thing going on in your head is a low whistling sound. You don't have to do the side stuff, you can just skip it and just do the story, but completionist brain is a deadly disease. Also, one of the most annoying things is collecting chests on islands, because you park your ship next to the island and then the ship slowly pushes away, so you have to swim more. I hate that. Treasure maps were good though. You just get a picture of basically the in-game map that tells you where to go and you go there and dig out a chest. Neat idea, and feeds into the pirate fantasy. There is also assassination missions, which is more combat or stealth power fantasy. Overall, main missions good, except tailing missions and slow walking with people. Side stuff collectathon sucks and could have been removed from the game and it would have been better for it. Just make a 10-hour good game instead of a 40-hour mediocre one. Story. Of the 3 Assassin's Creed games I've played recently, this story is the one that gripped me the most. It's fun. You're hanging around with pirates and the protagonist isn't on some revenge mission, he just wants money. Loads of money. And then goes through an arc of learning to care about something bigger than himself, and becoming a better man. The moral of his story is pretty good. In short, it's basically, instead of focusing so much on grinding for money, you should focus on your family and the people that care about you. That's pretty wholesome and good. I actually liked the characters, Blackbeard being a goofy villain but also just looking for medicines for his town, James Kidd constantly trying to convince Edward to be a better man. Also, James Kidd is actually a woman, who is an assassin, and I like that, because it's such a great disguise as an assassin. She kills someone as James Kidd, then just takes off her male disguise and says, "I don't know nothing about violence, I'm just a bonny lass." It's pretty weird that disguises aren't a big gameplay mechanic in these games. Anyway, there was also this merchant guy that Edward introduced to piracy and ruined his life. That was nice. The presentation is very good, with expressive and well-animated cutscenes and great voice acting. That does a lot to make you care. The writing was good. Edward's motivation of just wanting to make something of himself by making money is very relatable, and a good enough reason for him to get involved in the Assassin and Templar nonsense. The story mostly focuses on the observatory and the war between Templars and Assassins, but it does give you enough pirate life stuff, like robbing other ships, drinking and dying of scurvy. It's a good ride, a story that keeps your interest. Also, the modern story was actually pretty good too. You just play as some Abstergo employee who then gets tricked and blackmailed into helping the assassins hack Abstergo computers. And from that you get Abstergo files, which give more modern-day story and teases for future games. And there's a good twist there, and was an intriguing way to see the modern Templar and Assassin war. Also, you get to meet the internet precursor person. Cool. Yeah, the story was good. Conclusion. Black Flag is a fun game. It's not challenging, but it delivers on a really good pirate power fantasy. It was the best pirate simulator at its time, but there's actual competition now, like Sea of Thieves or Windrose, which looks damn good. Black Flag is a good game, but they stretched the game out to the point that everything good here got coated with a paint of boredom. There's like 6 to 10 hours of solid fun gameplay here. Great ship combat, good ground combat, alright stealth and traversal. Even the good parts of this game get worn out after a while. They're great at first, but by the end of the game you're tired of it and wanna move on. They don't leave you wanting more because they stretched the game out. I recommend the game if you can get it for cheap, like $5. If you're explicitly looking for a pirate game, then yeah, this is a good one to pick up. Story-wise, not really, since it's mostly Assassin's Creed nonsense, but gameplay-wise, absolutely. The assassin stuff actually fits well, especially the combat and stealth, since you're rebelling against authority. But again, lots of Ubisoft-style boredom, but you can totally ignore most of that. I give the game a 7 out of 10. If they had cut away all the unnecessary boredom, busywork and tailing missions, then it would have been an 8. Okay, next game I review is a small publisher or indie game, for reals this time. Until then, like and subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have a good day.